Welcome to another tutorial. My name is Chrognar, and today I'm going to show you how to animate our health bar. If you go to one of the previous tutorials, you will learn how to make the health bar and how to program it. And I'll show you its current state right now. So we got our player here, the little blue guy, and when he hits a red block, he takes damage. And when he hits a green block, he gains life. Isn't that great? So now, you might think, well, this health bar is kind of boring. I mean, it's just updating the status, and that's it. So I'm going to show you how to animate it, because an animated health bar is one of those things that helps your players be like, ooh, it's animated. I'm getting feedback, and it's kind of neat. Because you want as much feedback to your players as possible, because if they're playing a video game and it's boring and there's not a lot of stuff to take their attention, you might as well just be, playing with a spreadsheet, as some great programmers have said. So now I'm going to teach you how to animate this bar, Lifebar. So first, we're going to go into our script here. This is a component we created in Blender, in UPBGE. And we're going to add a function called Animate Lifebar. It's going to inherit from self because it's inside this component class called player life. And the first thing we have to do is see what our source of data is for our health. And that's these two variables right here. We have HP max and HP. We're not going to worry about HP max because that's for a later tutorial. But we are going to use HP as our data source for feedback. So right now, what happens is in our enemy ouchie component, when we hit those red blocks, they get destroyed by the end object command. And then we do a try command, because if you quit the game without destroying those blocks, this dispose function throws an error. So we have to try it, and then if they're unused, it just passes the error. All right, so next what we're going to do is, we see that it goes minus 25. So what we want to do is we want to, what causes the functionality of the life bar is right here. Basically, the life bar is this image sequence right here that we imported. Like, we can go to the timeline to play it. We go to the timeline, and we scrub through it. We see it smoothly animates because it's 100 frames, right? And so we made the HP 100, so it corresponds with, whatever frame the HP's at. So we'll go back to our script. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and, since the life bar is no longer actually, we can go ahead and add this to player life. So we'll go ahead and put the animation in the player life since the variables are already there. And instead of having So what this does is lifebar is equal to sub.object.scene.lifebar. So that's this object right here. You can see the name over here. And then it's accessing the image texture node in the node tree. So if we go to our node tree, we have this image texture node, and it's using this offset value right here with this live image user's frame offset is equal to HP. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get rid of this section here. And we're going to add some if statements below it. So first we're going to copy these 2 lines of code. And put them in our start function. So the life bar is at the correct value when the game starts. And we'll do life values dot image user dot frame offset is equal to self dot, oh no, that'll be true, self dot HP. So that'll set it to full life when the game starts. Next in here, what we'll do is in player life, what we're going to do is we're going to add following. So we'll do life values dot image user dot frame offset is equal minus equals 1 if life values dot image user underscore user dot frame offset is greater than self.hp, else 0. So the life values, so what will happen is if the frame number of our life bar, let's get back to it. If the frame values of our life bar, which there's 100 of them, are greater than the HP, it'll increment down our animation of the life bar every frame until it's equal to the HP. And then we'll do another one for when we gain life. So life values dot image user dot frame offset plus equals 1 if life values dot image user dot frame offset is less than self dot HP, else 0. So what this is going to do is when the frame offset is less than the HP, it's going to start incrementing the frame offset of our animated health bar. So every frame it'll look animated until it reaches the HP level. And then we'll do one more condition, which is if we can do life values dot image user. Let me spell that right. That's why you guys watch this channel, to watch me make all my mistakes and give you bad information. All right. Frame offset is equal to self.hp if life values dot image user dot frame offset is equal to self.hp L0. Yep, okay, like that. All right, so with 3 lines of code, we managed to animate our, we'll see, but I believe we managed to animate our health bar. And we have this condition in case for future if HP max is increased. Or this is in case you take in more health potions than your HP max, it'll just make the HP equal to the max health you can have. Alright, so we got that done. We wrote our, we saved our file, and now we go into Blender and we reload our Python file. And let's play it. Alright. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, we got something in here. Let's try else one. We may have to do this with if statements. Oh, I know what we need to do. It's worried it should work. Let's try it again. Well, the health went to 75, but the we have to add the max here. We're actually referring to HP, so if let's try it this way. If self.h I'll be back. Alright, I think I know what's going on. So, if I press play here, you'll see that if I look at my frame rate, I'm at 60 frames per second. So if I show my frame rate, the health bar gets drained just way too fast. So what we have to do is we have to use an incrementer to slow it down. And also we're got to use if statements. So we're going to do that. So we're going to add a incrementer variable, self.frameinker is equal to 0. And what we have to do is to basically slow down the animation playback, we have to use a property of numbers called prime numbers with a modulus. So if we're at 60 frames a second, we have to find the prime number closest to 60 to slow things down a little bit. I think we want our frame rate on this to be about probably 6 frames per second compared to the 60 frames. So probably a modulus about a prime number like 17 would probably be pretty good. So we'll do 17. So what we're going to do is first do an if statement with that modulus. So if self.frame anchor modulus 17 is equal to 0. And then our next if statement is going to be if life values, if the frame offset of our life values image sequence is greater than our HP, then we'll do life values.image user dot frame offset minus equals, oh, if it does not equal, we have to do the first part. If, let's go ahead and copy this. If life values dot image user dot frame offset is greater than self.hp, we'll increment down the frame offset by 1. So with 17 going in close to 60, that'll probably make it be about probably about 5 frames a second. So it should look pretty smooth. We want it to have enough feedback so the player sees it smoothly go down and up as their HP changes. So we'll do that. And we'll do else if. We'll copy this again. for our else condition, alright, so what will happen is if our Lifebar frame offset is equal to HP, it's going to do nothing. And then once the player's HP takes damage, the Lifebar will go down 1 frame around every, at a rate of about 5 frames a second, or maybe 6 frames a second. And then if the life value, I mean, I could do 19, that's another prime number, but we'll see how fast this is. And then life value is if the player gains health and their life is, did I do that right? Yeah, and their health is less than their new HP, the frame value of the life bar will increment up at about that rate of about 10 frames a second. And then if the life value, the other else condition is basically, it's actually unnecessary. So that can actually go, that else needs to go here. So if they are equal, then the life value will match the HP, and that'll stabilize the life bar after the other conditions are not met. So, all right, cool, and we'll test that. And I missed a colon. There we go. Our health bar is animated. That's nice and smooth. All right, so let's go over how this works again. So basically what happens is our HP is 100, and then the life bar, we, in the start function, we import the life bar object into our script, into our component. And then we use the shader node, the image texture node in our shader. We set this value equal to this node here. And then when we do that, that gives us this option of using image user frame offset, which we can determine that by mousing over offset here. And you'll see that it says BPY data materials, the name of the object, .nodetree.nodes.image texture, which is the same thing as our code here. And then what's needed to access this offset value is after the image texture node, you do .image_user.frame_offset. And so that's right here after this variable. So this life values variable is basically a shorthand for typing all this out. And you can do that. So anytime you get to like the end bracket of a string value inside the Blender GUI, you can shorthand it by setting a value to this whole thing at the end of this bracket here, And then you can still access the methods inside this object. So .ImageUser.frame offset. Okay, so we set it equal to the player's HP. Then this code here obviously moves our player. And then again in Lifebar we import it again because these are local variables to the functions. If we want to be global, we put self in front of them, but we don't want to do that right now. It's better to keep them contained because when the function is not being used, it will die off in the RAM and the garbage collector will get it and make things more performant. And then self dot. Then we created this incrementer that's basically just an integer that goes up by 1 every frame. That's weird though, I didn't set the incrementer. So it was true the whole time. Huh. So when would we want to use this? Well, if I disable, you would go ahead and put it down here. I guess the frame rate at 60 was nice and smooth for it. So, but if you put self.incr plus equals 1 in here, you're going to see that the animation is going to slow down now. So let's do that. Get this out of the way. I have to bring it in. Reload our script, then play. And I'm getting an error. Why? Oh, I didn't name my variable right. See, that's why you guys are here, to watch me make mistakes. You love my mistakes. Alright. Okay, there we go. And now we do this. You'll see now that the health bar is going really, really slow. And that's because we're at 60 frames a second. But if I go to my VSync settings and turn them off, I'm now running, because my machine is so amazing, I'm still running at 60 frames a second. I have to uncheck use frame rate. Okay. Yeah, so now yep, there we go. So we had to add another condition here, actually. I found a bug. So we have to add and self. If the self.hp is less than 100. And then for this one, we have to say if self.hp is greater than 0. That way, if we hit these, nothing happens. And then if we hit these, oh, it's still doing it because I didn't reload it, of course. Okay. That's still doing it. Interesting. I'll try it again. Let's do it this way. There. So you see our health bar is moving, but that modulus 17 is helping now because my frame rate is 429 frames a second. So if you're using if you're planning for someone to have a badass machine and turn off their VSync, you'll need some kind of way of slowing down the frame rate, like a modulus condition here. So, but we'll go back to, honestly, with indie games, you're better off just setting your frame rate to 60 and leaving it. That way you don't have to deal with delta time or anything like that, unless you want to get fancy. So we'll go ahead and go down here and get rid of that. We'll leave this extra condition because I don't care. And we'll do it again. Look at my glorious health bar. Well, let's find out what's causing this bug. Oh, the health. Okay. So that's what's going on. Our health, if we look at the output here, our health is increasing 150. So we need to go ahead in this player life function. We don't need this here. What we need is an extra condition at the bottom. So, and that's why we have our health max. So if self.hp is greater than self.hp max, self.hp is equal to self.hp max. And we can do it also here. Else if self.hp is less than 0, self.hp is equal to 0. Then we can reload. There we go. That looks good. And then if we try and mess things up and gain more life, nothing happens. And then if we take damage, it works. Okay, we got rid of our bug. Awesome. And now we can go ahead and disable VSync again. Turn off use frame rate. And we'll put our modulus incrementer back in. Self.frameanchor plus equals 1. And we'll, since my frame rates are hitting up to 400, we can do, what's a good prime number? Do 23. See how that is. Might still be too slow, but we'll find out. See how this thing works at 400 frames a second. That's pretty good. It's a little slow. So let's try doing 19. I think 19 is going to be the sweet spot. So prime number 19 for our modulus condition. And then at 420 frames per second. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's about the same as 60 frames per second. So this is why in your settings you probably want to hard code or code in your the hertz rate, common hertz rate of monitors. So like at 144, you could set the module something like 19. If they run at 60 hertz, you know, you can throw out the modulus altogether because it should be running at 60 frames a second. Or you can, you know, or you if you do an indie game, it's important to probably just set your frame rate to like a hard number, like 30 or 24 or 15 or 60, something like that. All right, so we're back to using frame rate, so I'm going to get rid of the modulus here, or get rid of the frame anchor. And now we're spinning our wheels because we're doing the same thing over and over again. So this will be the last time, but show you here. There we go. And that's how we animate our health bar. So to review, self.hp equals 100. Use these lines here to import the node tree of the object that's your health bar. And then use the frame offset relative to HP, so if they're not equal, if the life values are greater, you increment it down by 1 frame. If the life values are less than the HP, you increment them up by 1 frame. And then if the HP is equal, you just set the frame value equal to the HP. And then to prevent the bug of your life going over your max or under 0, you make sure that if the self HP is greater than the max, you set it to the HP max, and then if the HP is less than 0, you set it to 0. And that'll keep your life bar from going out of its frame bounds. Alright, so this was probably confusing, but some of you wanted the health bar animated, and I gave it to you. So that's how you do it with a component and with code. Have fun using the Blender game engine, and I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye.